Hi everybody. For today's at-home lecture, we're going to be discussing mitosis. Before we get into that, you have your skeleton notes there ready for you to follow along with the lecture. During this presentation, there's some highlighted terms in red. Those are a lot of the fill in the blanks from the skeleton notes, but it's not all of them. So kind of pay attention. Those are a lot of the key takeaways and kind of words to reinforce this lecture and kind of help it as a tool. After this, you will need to complete the quiz before class and get an 80% or higher on it, and then we will be doing a fun mitosis lab in class. Bear with me, I'm going to have to move my face around a little bit. So, cell division. What is mitosis? Mitosis is cell division. It is a form of cell division. Cell division is the process by which a cell divides into two new cells. Why do cells need to divide? There's a few reasons. Living things grow by producing more cells, not by each cell getting larger and larger over time. So cells reproduce. 1, to grow, for the organisms to grow. 2, to repair damaged tissues, organelles, things like that. And 3, if the cell grows too large and it cannot support itself, it can't get in enough nutrients, or it's taking up too much space, then it will divide. So kind of a way to think about this, for me, the easiest way that I've always used is take your hair. So you feel your hair, you can't really feel yourself touching your hair. It doesn't hurt if you pinch it or you twist it or anything like that, but when you pull it, you can feel it, it hurts. That's because the cell outside of your hair, outside of your skin, the hair that you see is dead. But at the base of your hair cell, if you can see in the bottom diagram, there is a living cell, and every time that cell reproduces, the dead cell goes to the hair of your shaft. And this is a form of mitosis. Other cellular parts, other cells do this, like muscle cells, skin cells, things like that. But I think hair is just an easy one to visualize because we actually see hair growing. So the original cell is called the parent cell. After a parent cell undergoes mitosis, two new cells are formed. These cells are known as the daughter cells. Before the cell division occurs, the cell has to replicate all of the DNA within the cell. So each daughter cell gets a complete set of genetic information from the parent. Each set of cells is exactly like the parent cell, so it's the same type, same kind, and then the same number of chromosomes as the parent cell. So this is kind of a diagram of it. The first circle is just the parent cell, and it has the normal amount of DNA, normal amount of chromosomes, and then these chromosomes duplicate, as you can see, into the next one, and then mitosis occurs here, which we will get into more in depth later on, and then these are the two brand new daughter cells at the end. So DNA. DNA is located in the nucleus of each cell, and by now we know that DNA controls all cell activities, including cell division. DNA is a long and thread-like structure in a non-dividing cell. It's called a chromatin. It's double-coiled, short DNA in a dividing cell is called a chromosome. Chromosome consists of two parts, the chromatid and then the centromere. So the chromatin in the previous slide is the singular strand of DNA that we saw, and then whenever it duplicates, you can see in the diagram below there's the X-looking chromosome. The centromere is the middle part where the chromatid is connected. So here is diagram of that. So the chromosome that is consisting of one chromatid duplicates and is connected by the centromere. During mitosis, the chromatid is split apart, and then the chromatid is in two separate daughter cells. Two identical sister chromatids attach at the area in the middle, kind of how I just explained, which is the centromere, and then the cell divides. The sister chromatids separate, and one goes into each of the new cells, like I explained. So, chromosome numbers. Every organism has its own specific number of chromosomes. For example, humans have 46 chromosomes, so there's 23 pairs. Dogs have 78 chromosomes, so there's 39 pairs. So however many chromosomes an organism has, it has half the amount of pairs. Here's a couple other examples. So all somatic body cells in an organism have the same kind and number of chromosomes. So for humans, since humans have 46 chromosomes, every somatic cell has 46 chromosomes. Somatic cells are like skin cells, muscle cells, heart cells, hair cells, not sexual reproductive cells. So they all would have 46. So the cell cycle. Cell cycle is a series of events or the steps that are taken that a cell goes through in order to grow and then divide. So cells start in interphase and they grow. They prepare for division. Then they end up dividing to form two daughter cells. That is the process of mitosis, and then each of which then begins the cell cycle again. We will go more in depth following that slide. So, interphase, this is what is known as the resting phase. This is the primary state that a cell is going to be in most of the time. This is when cells grow and then they develop. During this state, this is when DNA replication happens. During this state, during interphase as well, the cell grows and carries out its normal activities, and then it also replicates other organelles that need to be replicated in order to form the two new daughter cells. Like I mentioned, the cell spends most of its life during this state. So mitosis. Mitosis is the division of the nucleus into two nuclei, each with the same number of chromosomes. This occurs in all somatic body cells, like I mentioned. These are hair, nails, anything that's not sexual reproduction. So why does it occur? Whether cells grow large, they're damaged, things like that. Each of the new daughter cell has a nucleus with a complete set of chromosomes. So it's not they duplicate and they split the chromosomes in half. The chromosomes are actually replicated, and each cell has the same amount. So there are four phases of mitosis directed by the cell's DNA. An easy way to remember these are PMAT. The first stage is prophase. I always think of this as prepare. Prophase is the cell preparing to undergo mitosis. M stands for metaphase, and an easy way to remember this is middle. All the chromatids and chromosomes line up in the middle of the cell, and this is when they're getting ready and about to start to split and separate. During anaphase, that's actually when the chromosomes are pulled apart into individual chromatids. And then telophase is whenever two separate cells kind of establish. They are not separate yet, but there has been a new cell wall, and they are two distinct daughter cells at this stage. So prophase. During this stage, what happens is the chromosomes begin to coil up. The nuclear envelope then disappears, and the spindle fibers begin to form. During metaphase, the centrioles kind of migrate to the poles. The chromosomes line up in the middle of the cell, and the spindle fibers connect to these chromosomes. In that diagram, you can kind of see what is going on in the process. During anaphase, the chromosome copies divide. The spindle fibers begin to pull apart the chromosomes to the opposite poles and are separated into identical chromatids. And then during telophase, the nuclear envelope begins to form. The chromosomes begin to uncoil. This forms 2 new nuclei, and then the spindle fibers disappear. After this stage, cytokinesis occurs. Cytokinesis is the division of the rest of the cell, the cytoplasm and the organelles. After the nucleus divides, in animals, cells and cytoplasm begins to pinch off and cleave themselves apart, separating into the 2 distinct daughter cells. In plant cells, cell plates form and then create new cell walls. After mitosis and cytokinesis, the cell returns to interphase, where it continues to rest, grow, and perform the regular activities that cell is made for. So the picture on the left kind of shows a cleavage furrow. These are what would happen to the cells in your body or living organism. It cleaves, as you can see in the top picture, and then in the bottom picture you kind of see the process where the cells begin to cleave until there's 2 separate daughter cells. The picture on the right, you can see that that's a plant cell. The cellular plates begin to line up. They form into new cell walls, and then there are 2 new daughter cells. So just a little summary of what we went over. So the cell cycle, primarily the cell rests in interphase. Whenever it begins to replicate, mitosis occurs. During mitosis, prophase happens, then metaphase, anaphase, and telophase. After mitosis, cytokinesis occurs. When the cells become old or damaged, they die and are replaced with this process, producing 2 new cells. Here it is again. It's just more of a visual aid for visual learners. And then here is kind of a summary of the PowerPoint. I'll get rid of me so you can see the whole thing. This is a good tool kind of to refer back to when you are finishing your post-lab tomorrow, or you are taking the quiz or studying for an exam. This is a summary of all the stages and the key takeaways from mitosis and cell division. Before you come into class, make sure you